I was doing customer research calls recently to figure out what your biggest struggles are. And one thing that kept coming up was the phrase, I'm not good enough. You feel like you're not good enough to sell to big companies or billion-dollar brands or golden geese or anyone. And if you feel like you are good enough to sell, then you feel like you're not good enough to deliver, and not being able to deliver breaks your heart. So how do you get over that mental block of feeling you're not good enough? Stick around. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. Learn how to book meetings with billion-dollar brands and take your company to the next level at email10k.com. The first thing you want to do is get results. Confidence comes from succeeding, and you can fake it till you make it. And that phrase actually holds a lot of truth. If you pretend like you're a great salesman, you will slowly become a great salesman. But only because pretending like you're a great salesman leads to some wins, and then every time you get a win, you get a little bit more confident. Every time we make a course sale, I become more of a course salesman. Every time I make a YouTube video and it's great, I become more of a YouTuber. Every time I sell a deal for 50, 60K, I become a better salesman. And it's the same with you. The more you do something successfully, the more confident you'll become. So that's number one. And then you'll start breaking through that I'm not good enough feeling by actually being good enough. So you need to get results. And that's either with sales, by selling more of your service, or you need to get results using your service. Let's say you're running an SMMA, a social media marketing agency. You need to actually have results with your client's social media. Simple as that. However, I used the word or there, either sales or success with your service, because number two is realize you don't need to be an expert to sell. Let's say you want to sell web development. You don't need to be the greatest coder of all time. You actually don't even need to be able to code a website. You just need to know enough code to be able to sell it. That's it. You sell the project, you make enough money from that sale to afford a great coder who hates selling. He or she has been mastering how to code these websites for their entire life. They're passionate about coding, they are great at coding, but they don't want to sell, so you bring them onto your team. You don't need to do everything. You don't need to be the greatest coder in the world and the greatest salesperson. Just sell. That's it. That's all you got to do. So you hire a great coder that's been coding for 30 years, or whatever, somebody that knows how to do the project effectively, and that's the trade you're making. The coder wants money, so you give him money. You want coding, so he gives you coding. You're the deal maker and you make a profit in between. Which means if you master sales, nothing else matters. If I learn enough to sell a $700,000 website, that $700,000 can now hire the greatest project manager and or tech recruiter, or both. It can afford to buy the rest of the tech team, and I can have a $700,000 website built with a 30% margin. I know it because I've done it. This video is brought to you by Email 10K.
Prior to working with Alex, I actually tried Facebook advertising. I tried Bing, Google ads for my business, and it just, they weren't working. It was just a big learning curve for me, and there was a lot that was involved. And it was crazy because I had stumbled upon Alex, and I thought it was completely bogus. I'm like, there's no way. Nobody does outbound emails at all anymore. Or at all in general. That doesn't really work. Cold emails don't really work. And the more and more I heard what he was doing, the more and more I realized, I needed to have something in my business that could be consistent, that I could measure. Even today, I got a couple of meetings while I'm on a business trip. So Alex has brought consistencies to my business that I didn't have before.
So you do not need to be an expert. Let the artisans spend decades of their life trying to figure out the perfect spot for this button on the website. You can spend decades learning how to sell that for more and more and more and more money. And the third thing to internalize when it comes to feeling you're not good enough is not delivering is learning. So this is the worst case scenario, right? This is if you sell a thing and you can't deliver, what happens? Your nightmare is coming true. Well, you try again. And this is something I rarely hear agency owners talk about. When I was first starting X27, we could barely deliver for anyone. We had clients that were mad at us. We had people requesting refunds. We just couldn't do the work that we were getting paid for. And then what happened? Some of those clients would ask for their money back. Some of them would let us keep the money, but then never work with us again and probably said bad stuff about us. And we just kept going. Each time we got better. Eventually we got some good case studies. We were able to make enough money to hire the right people to do the work. And we went from there. And that's something that agency owners don't talk about, but it's very real in entrepreneurship. You will screw up your first 2 projects, 24 projects. As long as you're learning each time and you're refunding customers when they ask for it, like you're being very open about your skill set when they hire you, as long as you are moral about what you're doing, it's totally fine. Clients know they're taking a risk by hiring anyone. And yeah, it's kind of annoying when the freelancer can't deliver, but it's also the cost of doing business. I hired a YouTube ad manager. We paid him $4,000 all in. The ads didn't really work very well. Am I chasing him down for that $4,000? No, I just move on. I won't hire him again, but I have better stuff to do. And it's the same for a lot of projects. We hire a bunch of lead generators that can't generate leads effectively. We just move on. We hire designers that design things that look like garbage. Just keep going. So you, as a new agency, might be one of those. I couldn't tell you the name of 90% of the people that I've hired because the quality's all over the place and we just cycle through them that fast. Eventually we find good people, but there's no shame in being one of the many failures. Eventually you'll get your processes to a point where you succeed, but I wouldn't let that hold you back from selling. You need to sell in order to learn. So yes, try as hard as you possibly can to succeed, but don't kill yourself if you light a client's $30,000 on fire. It's all part of your process, and your client knows that it's part of the risk going in. They wouldn't spend $30,000 on you, the company, if they needed that money. And if they did, that says more about them than about you. So if you want, you can give them the money back if they're very, very aggressive about wanting it back, or you think that they should have it back. But I would not quit because of it. I wouldn't commit suicide because of it. And I know it sucks. I've had clients come after me for $30,000 before. And it is terrible because it's a personal reflection on how bad you are as a entrepreneur at the time. Maybe you're good enough to sell it, but you're not good enough to deliver. And guess what? They all get over it eventually, or they sue you and then you fight it in court. It's all fine. So to review, here's how to get through the I'm not good enough mental block. The first thing you want to do is get results. Then you realize you don't need to be an expert to sell the product. And know that not delivering is learning. If you want more detail on the sales process, you want to start targeting golden geese, businesses with between 5 million and 150 million in revenue that you can power close on and start making some money right away with your business, check out email10k.com. It goes through exactly what to do in detail. Subscribe for more content like this. We do videos 3 times a week. Smash that like button to encourage the YouTube algorithm. Check out our past videos. We have tons of videos on business, entrepreneurship, sales, and how to live a good life. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.